Hatterene is a Pokemon introduced in Generation 8. It has a Psychic Fairy typing not shared by many Pokemon. It also has access to some very useful support moves such as Nuzzle, Healing Wish, and Trick Room, as well as beneficial attacking moves such as Draining Keys for recovery and Sacking Nuts for keeping bulky Pokemon in check. This and its ability Magic Bounce, an ability that bounces back status moves, has led Hatterene to be a recurring Pokemon in Ubers, a singles format mostly dominated by legendary Pokemon. Today we explore how Hatterene has stood out in such a format ever since its release, and how it has affected the metagame as a whole. Back when the only covered legendaries in the tier were Koraidon and Miraidon, Hatterene was mostly used as a Carmine sweeper, and as a way to stop Team Blue from setting up hazards willy-nilly. With access to moves like Draining Kiss, Stored Power, and Mystical Fire, it was very possible for Hatterene to sweep teams that were not prepared for it. This, with the lack of recurring cover legendaries like Zacian, Necrozma Dustmane, and Ho-Oh, made Hatterene a very reliable supporting Pokemon, as well as a formidable setup sweeper. This changed, however, when other legendaries were released through Pokemon Home connectivity, such as Arceus and Kyogre, allowing the power creep to really sink in. Because of this, Hatterene's role changed into more of a support Pokemon for Trick Room teams thanks to having access to both Trick Room and Healing Wish, rather than being an outright sweeper. This is also in part credited to a change in the mechanics of Healing Wish. In the past, it would heal the next incoming Pokemon regardless if they were damaged or not. In Generation 9, Healing Wish only heals a Pokemon if they took damage prior to coming in. After the first DLC of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, there was a big increase in Trick Room teams due to players realizing that Basculegion could easily sweep many of the standard teams thanks to its signature move Last Respects, a move which had its base power increased by 50 every time a Pokemon on its team fainted. Basculegion also had access to Adaptability, an ability that increased the power of stat moves multiplier from 1.5 to 2.0. Paired with the scarcity in Ghost Resist and immunities, this made Basculegion one of the strongest and best cleaners at the time. The strategy was very simple. You would bring Arceus or Hatterene, who both had access to Healing Wish plus Trick Room, set up the latter and self-KO with Healing Wish as fast as possible. This would sometimes let Last Respect's power increase to a sheer 150 before any boost, and thus it would lead to Basculegion getting 2 or 3 KOs under one round of Trick Room, or in some cases, end the game altogether. This strategy had some popularity during the first months of DLC 1 as well as DLC 2, but that changed when Last Respects was banned from the Ubers tier. Because Trick Room lost one of its strongest hitters, this strategy alongside Hatterene would fall through the cracks for some time, but this wouldn't be the last time we'd see Hatterene rise up again. After a few months, Gliscor's popularity in Ubers started to rise. A Pokemon that had access to Toxic, Spikes, and Taunt was found incredibly hard to switch into even by legendary Pokemon standards. So much that many people often relied on their own slow Gliscor with U-turn in order to get momentum against it and threaten it with Pokemon like Kyogre, Iron Bundle, and Arceus Water. Adding to that, there was another strategy that was gaining a lot of popularity as well, that being Sticky Web Hyper Offense. To briefly explain it, Ribombee, a Pokemon released after DLC 1, would be tasked with setting up Sticky Web, a move that reduces a grounded Pokemon's speed by 1 stage upon entering the field. This will be proven to be a very effective way to win in a format with Pokemon like Koraidon, Zacian, and Arceus, Pokemon who were already strong on their own but were now able to not worry about being faster than the opponent, thanks to Sticky Web reducing their speed. This made people start using Hatterene as a way of challenging these aspects of the metagame. Thanks to its ability Magic Bounce, moves like Toxic and Taunt wouldn't work on it, and trying to set up Spikes and Sticky Web would be turned against them. While this strategy proved effective in some cases, it did not pick up completely at that time. Months later though, Miraidon was banned from the Ubers tier, and with that, the metagame would shift. Despite Miraidon being deemed too powerful for it to remain in the tier, there was still a lingering issue surrounding the Generation 9 Ubers. Hazards, Sticky Web, and Koraidon were still too powerful and troublesome to deal with. Because of this, people started to try new things and build combinations. One of those was the combination of Hatterene plus Kyogre. Between those two Pokemon, several team building issues will be solved completely. Kyogre will provide the rain in order to override Koraidon's Sun and Oracle Compulse ability, as well as let Hatterene switch into Flare Blitz safely and effectively counter it on the rain. Because of its Psychic Fairy typing, it also meant that Koraidon couldn't boost its speed with Scale Shot or demolish it with close combat while Hatterene was still present in battle. This combo effectively solved 2 major issues: the inability to stop entry hazards in a tier with very limited removal options, as well as effectively checking the strongest and most influential Pokemon in the metagame. This wasn't without its flaws though. Hatterene did help check Koraidon, but steel types such as Zacian Crown and Necrozma Dustmane often took advantage of this. In response, people decided to turn to Landorus Therian to address these issues. With the help of its ability Intimidate, it can easily switch into physical attacking steel types, threatening with strong earthquakes or stopping them from setting up with Taunt. as well as pivoting out with U-turn. With that, the core was complete. As a side note, another Pokemon that will be fulfilling a similar role would be Arceus Ground, but since people often prefer to use different Arceus forms, Landorus T is often used over it. The core of Hatterene, Kyogre, Landorus T started getting popularized in recent times, and it will probably remain that way unless the metagame goes for another shift. This is not to say that Hatterene is a surefire way to address these issues though. People have started to adapt and even use sets like Terrestrial Koraidon with Ironhead coverage for it, and for Pokemon like Arceus Fairy, who also commonly switches into Koraidon. This set of course allows it to bypass the Fairy Pokemon who wouldn't let it set up and boost its speed with Scale Shot, allowing it to flip a matchup it would normally lose on itself. Although this set is not very common at the moment, there's no telling what will happen with it in the future. Nevertheless, the fact that a Pokemon like Hatterene has had this much of an impact in different stages of the Uber's metagame is nothing to sneeze at. Scarlet and Violet Ubers is a metagame that will keep adapting to the trends, but we can't deny that Hatterene's effect on the metagame is something for the history books. But what do you think? Do you think Hatterene will keep being relevant in the future, or is it simply a passing metagame trend? Leave a comment below. As always, many thanks for watching, and see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.